Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having an awesome day today. I am back with another sewing tutorial today, and today we'll be making this little cotton lace top. It's super easy and a great project if you're just starting out, but it has some fun embellishments that'll make it a little bit more interesting and fun to wear. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So to get started, you'll need the fabric of your choice. I recommend a cotton with an embroidery detail around the hem. That means we won't have to hem anything, which makes this project go really fast. You'll also need some bias tape, which you can make or purchase. I'll link a tutorial down below for how to make it, and then a pattern for a basic tank top. I recommend the Sorbito pattern from Colette Patterns. This pattern is free to download, and you'll find the fabric yardage requirements under your size. Just make sure to add some extra for the ruffle detailing. So I went ahead and cut out the front and back pieces, omitting the pleat on the front, which you'll see marked on the pattern. The first step is to sew the darts, and you'll see this marked on the pattern. You'll want to place a pin where the circle is at the dart, and then make sure to cut a little notch on each point of the triangle. This way it makes it easy to fold together. So match up the two little notches and then pull it so that it's straight from the notches to the pin, and then pin a line right here, and we'll sew this line down to create the dart on either side of the top, and this just gives it a really nice fit in front. Sew it down with a straight stitch and make sure to back stitch so that everything is really nice and secure. Once your darts are sewn down, go ahead and press them nice and flat and press the dart so that it faces towards the bottom of the garment. Next, pin up your shoulder seams with the right sides together and go ahead and sew these down with a straight stitch. After you've sewn that seam, you'll want to finish the edge. I'm using a serger today. You could use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine or any kind of finish you feel comfortable with. Go ahead and press these seams down so they're nice and flat, and then pin up the side seams and do the exact same thing, sewing it down and then finishing the edge. Next, we're going to work on the trickiest part of this, and there are detailed instructions in the Colette Patterns instructions, but we're going to be applying bias tape to the neckline and armholes. And to do this, I'm unfolding my bias tape and pinning it with the right side of the bias tape to the inside of my garment, all the way around the neckline, leaving a little bit of a tail on either end. Next, you can go ahead and sew down the bias tape, just leaving that little bit of a gap where the two pieces meet, and you'll want to sew this down with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance to make it a little bit less bulky. We've been using 5/8 of an inch seams for the rest of the garment. You can see the tail sticking out here at the end, so now we're going to deal with those. We'll pin the two ends of the bias tape together, unfolding it so everything is nice and flat, and you'll just want to make sure that everything is lying smooth against the neckline. So you can go ahead and pin this down, and then we're going to stitch down that little vertical amount right here so that everything can lie flat at the neckline. Once you've stitched that little seam, go ahead and trim the ends of the bias tape and then pin it down so it's one flat piece on the edge of the neckline. You can just stitch this down, matching up the gap that you left before with a straight stitch. So now our bias tape is sewn all the way around, and we want to fold it to the outside to cover up the raw neck edge. This makes everything look very nice and neat. So you're just going to want to fold it towards the front and pin it down, and then top stitch this down really neatly and carefully. It's good to go slow when you're going around an outer seam like this, and this will just look really nice and sharp and polished once it's done. Once you've applied your bias tape to the neck and armholes, everything looks nice and neat, and you could stop here. This is a perfectly wearable, cute little tank top, but I wanted to add some fun ruffles to make it very summery. So I went ahead and cut out a piece to make the ruffle for the front, and to do this, I just increased my front width by 30%. I went ahead and serged the edge of that so that it's nice and neat, and then hemmed those little ends so that no raw edges were showing. I forgot to mention before, this is a 5-inch wide piece of fabric, so that's just the width I went for with my material. And then I went ahead and gathered the top by adding 2 rows of really wide stitches so that I could pull those to make the ruffle. So here I'm gathering that, and I'm just gathering it until it fits the front piece of the tank top. This next step is totally optional, but I just wanted to conceal the raw edge on my ruffle from showing on the front of the garment, so I'm applying a little bit of bias tape just like I did around the neckline. So we're pinning it down and then folding it over the top to conceal the raw edge. You could just leave it raw if you like that look, but I prefer something a little bit more neat and tidy looking. So now that my bias tape is attached, I'm just going to fold it over the top of the ruffle and then pin the ruffle to the front of the garment, making sure that it goes straight across. There's no crooked lines or anything like that. And then I'm just going to top stitch this down really neatly, and I did 2 rows of top stitching, one on either side of the bias tape, just so that everything is very secure. Next, we're going to work on these cute little ruffle sleeves. I love how these turn out. So to make mine, I cut a 5 by 12 inch piece of fabric, and then I rounded out the edges of my rectangle. Next, I went ahead and finished the edge by serging it, and then applied gathering stitches from one corner to the other, going across that curved line. Because I applied my gathering stitches from one corner of the curve to the other, when I pull them taut and pull it into a ruffle, this will become a straight line on top, which makes it really easy to apply to the armhole. You finish creating your ruffle, go ahead and pin it down to the center of the armhole and then top stitch it down nice and neatly. Once you finish sewing down your sleeve ruffles, this top is done. I love how it turned out. I think it's super cute, and it's such a great little light piece for summer. If any of you make this project, I would love to see what you create, so tag me on social media and I will be so excited to see that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. That is it from me today, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye! While I'm slowly heading back to my apartment, I'm not asking